Okay, you can talk now. We're live! Welcome to Critical Reroll, the Critical Role fan podcast where a bunch of us nerdy-ass fans talk about a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors. Oh, hey, look! There they are! They're here right now. Anyways. Hi, my name's Dustin and I'm at D&D Live now.
Hi, and I'm Matt, and if this episode sucks, you can blame me.
Perfect. Seems fair. Seems like fair and reasonable things we're doing here. I like it.
Yes. Did you mention we're talking about
Nope.
This is episode 139?
This is episode 139 of Critical Reroll, covering episode 63 of Critical Role, which is of course campaign 2. Of course, which features the Mighty Nine and not Vox Machina. Let's just lay it all out there. We want to be honest. We want to be transparent.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not at all prepared for this. I thought we were doing episode 63 of campaign 1. And I don't have notes.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. Bye, guys. Everyone just go home.
That's not entirely true, but it will seem like it's true because we're basically going to make this up as we go, much like I DM my games in real life. It's just us two.
Whee!
We're not the most prepared people in the world, so we hope that you will bear with us and contribute.
Yes, please come help us say things. Let's all discuss this together because we are all fans. We are all in this mess together.
I could use a fan. It's really warm today. I installed my air conditioner today. It's gross. All right, enough about my life. So what's going on with the Mighty Nine? They are on the eve. We begin with them on the eve of this surprise secret meeting at the Overcrow. But they want to talk to the Bright Queen about the whole situation first. Not just that meeting, but also the more important stuff regarding the war and the attack on the Ashkeep garrison.
Mm-hmm.
So they go talk to her. Yeah?
As you do. You just, walk in on a queen and go, hey, queen, yo, what's up?
Yeah, she grants them audience, which is nice. Proves once again that they are pretty cool with her. It seemed like they tipped their scales in their favor a little bit more by giving her this information. In a way, it very much could be seen that, they got some super secret information from the Empire. Who would know that? Spy probably would, kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's information that's useful to her. So I don't know if she would see that as a bad thing. That would be my first inclination, is being skeptical. It's how do you know this? How do I know this story you're telling me is true and you just don't know people in the Empire and whatnot?
I mean, I feel like they explained it pretty well, and they did discuss that. That is I think that's a legitimate concern going into this sort of situation, and be like, how do we convince her this is accurate? How do we it's difficult because they've done some big things already, but how do you ever know when you're in such a dangerous position, when you're the queen of a country that has been at war and has been victimized for Sarah and Ray knows how long.
Yeah, and with as powerful as she is, I don't know if they really take it as seriously as they should. I know that, it was real bad before Caleb gave them the dodecahedron, but at this point they're kind of skilled just skirting the lines of we're kind of on their side, but we also kind of don't want people to die, and we also are okay with some people in the Empire, and we're not going to fully commit, but she's real powerful, and she could just have them all executed at the snap of her fingers.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like they should take more care in what they're doing. And then we get to what happens later in this episode. But is there anything in their conversation that really stuck out to you? Basically, they just go back and forth. It's pretty much Bo trying to convince them not to kill everyone.
I thought they did pretty good, actually. I thought they did it's easy to, when you're playing a game, when you're playing D&D, and this group has in the past just like jump into situations. They did do a little discussion before. They did say like how are we going to convince her? And they said, well, as much as possible, we'll tell her the truth. Like, because that's how you want to do it, right? You do like the more lies, the more you lie, the more you have to cover up, the more difficult it is. The more truthful you can be, the better. And they were, right, to the extent that they could, where they were like, okay, here's what we did. We scried. We were like, hey, this is a thing that we found on the sites where bad stuff was happening. So we scried on it and we discovered this. Like I feel like they were as honest there as they could be. They did share kind of what they could, and they did have pertinent pieces of information that I think were worth listening to, and that's why the thing that happened when they got home happened, I feel like.
Yeah. But ultimately she doesn't really listen to their advice. She takes their warning seriously, but still essentially says that I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It doesn't really matter what you want. We are just going to use this to effectively tip the scale on our end and probably kill a lot of Empire's people.
Mm-hmm. Which had them obviously thinking about that. The most important thing so they had that whole discussion. I think that's really interesting. They had like discussion before they talked to her, and then they talked to her and they're like, oh, that's right. That means like all this sort of like all this bad sort of stuff could happen. Like we might be now causing it to tip to the other end, and now all these people are gonna die. We kind of, in some situation a bunch of people are gonna die, and I guess all we can do is kind of direct the path of death. Like all we can do is like, so there's a death ray in front of you and you can't turn it off. You can send it to the left or you can send it to the right. And there's a group of people in either path. And that's it. That's all you gotta say in.
And you choose the one that you're not in. And right now, they're not in that one.
Yeah.
So they're going to choose the one that keeps them alive.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. I thought it was interesting to hear Caleb talk a little bit about, well, I know that that's kind of like a specialized magic murder group, because I kind of did some of that sort of stuff, like that's a thing that I did. And then like you were saying, when they when they sort of have after talking to her, they have some realizations, and they're talking a bit and stuff like that, and they have that discussion like all we can do is kind of like, are we now in charge of this? And like Bo tries to have that really smart allegory of like putting a barrel together, and then it becomes about pants.
Yeah, Caduceus one-ups her immediately and is like, so pants. And like, that's a better analogy, honestly. And everyone's like, no, but he's like, yeah, so pants.
and then it became about like not spokes on a wheel, but like, putting the
nuts.
Yeah. Nuts. It came about nuts. Yep, it definitely became about nuts.
It always comes back to nuts.
It always comes back to nuts, which is totally understandable. With the Mighty Nine.
Speaking of nuts, they got 15,500 gold in a chest sent to them.
I love
for this information.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. That is so much money, and I love how a second later when they were like, okay, how much is that for each of us? Oh, it's only like 2,000 gold for each of us. Oh, pfft. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, there are so many of you.
That's so much money.
Yeah, that's why, not to bring this to my own game, but like my party had a whole conversation about whether we should keep party funds or split it, because splitting it is so little money when you split it between so many party members, but if you keep it all together and just pull it for what you need it for, you can really accomplish more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think. But the Mighty Nine doesn't seem to like having a party fund. They just like to have their own money and then chip in wherever they feel is necessary for them, which is cool.
Shinskar in chat said Yasha needs what, 10,000? Is that how much for her? Oh, because for all the items she needs as a barbarian, she's limited to wearing certain things to keep her barbarian-ness. So then your only option in that case is to get all enchanted items, which costs you money.
Yeah. I forget. I feel like she could have worn one piece of armor that would up her AC by 1, I think, if she just wears some armor.
Yeah.
But I think that's all she can do besides, wearing a
I was
shield.
gonna
And if
say
she's
she could have a
pretty short, she
shield,
can't.
but like there's something about the flavor of a barbarian without armor and without a shield that just like feels right. And I get like
Yeah.
playing to the story advantage and the aesthetic advantage over the actual gameplay advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, she can't not use Magician's Judge. Like, that's just a thing. So she's never gonna use a shield. Her stats just kind of suck, and that's really what it comes down to. I haven't kept track of what she's done over her level ups as far as like ability scores and feats and stuff go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And like, they're level 9 or something, right? So they're not going to get anything like that until 12.
Yeah.
Like ability score increase where she can increase, her constitution, which would increase her HP and AC, right? Because barbarians get constitution bonuses
Yep.
for unarmored. That's really what she needs to do, is just
Upper
buff
stats.
constitution as much as
Yeah.
possible. Or just take a feat that lets her wear armor and then wear armor.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Heavy armor, I mean, because she can wear medium right now.
Yeah. But it's like yeah. I think Gemsong in chat pointed out that like I think in the last talks she specified that she wants to play Yasha a certain way, and I friggin' get that. Like that totally makes sense. I totally feel that. So in the meantime, gotta get some of them charmed wrist bracelets and charm rings and things. Just charm up all your jewelries. Just get that ring-a-ding bling. I don't know.
I don't know. She said, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but also important from all this, from when they get home and they're talking about stuff and talking about pants and talking about wheels and talking about barrels,
And nuts.
and nuts. Yes, don't forget the nuts. Never forget the nuts. Is their plan that you know what, countries suck. And it sucks siding with one country or the other. So you know what we should do? We should make our own country and rule that one. So, we're already planning for Jesterland. I think that's...
I would visit Jesterland in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, I would live there if I could. I don't know what their like immigration laws would be like, but I would totally live in Jesterland if I could.
Absolutely. I would see... I feel like they'd have, like, fairly open, welcoming, like, rules. You would just have to put up with a lot of pranking.
Yeah. Do you think Jester would be the president? Is that how it works? Would it be like a government?
I feel like...
Or is it just like anything goes, just don't be a dick?
I feel like she would be like the princess or the queen just because she likes that title, but it wouldn't actually have the inherent roles of what we understand a queen or a princess to have. I feel like she would give everyone like just fancy titles. Like everyone would be like a duke and a duchess, but they'd all just be like, yeah, if you come in here, just don't be a dick. Yeah, like you said, like you can draw lots of dicks, but don't be one. That's the...
But also be one a little
be
bit.
one a little bit. Those are the rules.
Someone would definitely have the title of like Grand Duchess of Dicks.
Amazing.
I would go there.
Yeah. Dicks all over the place, chat says. Wonderland for the traveler? Yeah. I mean, would the traveler want shrines, or would they just want like anarchy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, would they
Yeah, I don't think that they're a deity who wants that kind of worship.
just celebration? They would just want nonsense and parties and mischief.
Yeah, I also I don't know if they want to be like famous. They don't want everyone to worship them,
Yeah.
because then they can't do the stuff that they want to do.
Yeah. They're like a secret, like, hey guys, have you heard of the traveler? Like the...
Yeah, it's like a members only club.
Yeah.
Like certain people get in, and you gotta know someone.
The first thing about the traveler is don't talk about the traveler, but also talk about the traveler.
Yeah, exactly.
Just...
So they talk a whole bunch about what they're gonna do the next day, and like as it is with every plan, like they spend like an hour talking about stuff and then realize that it's kind of moot and it doesn't really matter, and they don't know what they're gonna do anyway.
Yeah.
As Travis or Ford calls it, analysis paralysis, and they're just like, all right, whatever. So we can just skip all of that talking and head to the fact that they decide that they're just going to go near the Overcrow tonight because it's already midnight and it could happen anytime tomorrow,
Hmm.
and then rest there so they can keep an eye on it all day long.
Yeah. Because they've no
Uh,
concept of like when it's gonna happen. Because like on top of the fact that they like, things are likely to happen in certain times in a normal place where there's day and night, but there is no day and night here. So legitimately, when you say this day, the full 24 hours is like up for grabs. Do you know what I mean? Like, it really could happen at any time, and it would make no difference.
mhm.
So
So they go in and they do some scouting. Um, they sneak into what, like a nearby house, I guess.
yeah,
Um, and they find a goblin dead for like 6 months or something in there, which is crazy to me that like a place could be abandoned for like 6 months and no one would know about it or do anything about it. That's kind of crazy.
maybe.
Also, he didn't really describe like what the place looked like, if it was like super dusty or if there was like spider webs everywhere.
Mm,
It's just like there's a dead goblin in here.
fair. I think maybe just in Jorhaus there isn't a housing crisis, and it's a non-issue, so it never came up because it's not like anyone like needed it.
Well, it also means that like crime here is probably not like a thing,
Yeah,
like petty crime, because someone probably would have noticed that like no one's been in here forever.
yeah,
But
yeah. They and I like that they took care of the decomposing body by decomposing the decomposing body.
yeah, they just extra decomposition, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, once something is further along in decomposition, you've just created like loamy soil. Like, you're good. Just like smell real
Gross. All
earthy.
evidence of whoever that person was.
Yep. So I hope. I mean, I definitely think that person was non important, like not important remotely.
Clearly, because no one's cared about them for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. That's fair.
They start to enact their plan,
Mhm. Mhm.
which was first to have Jester scout as an invisible moth.
Mhm.
Um, Jester using polymorph on herself, Caleb making her invisible. Um, before we realize that a moth has an intelligence of 1,
Mm,
and Jester's not really able to accomplish much of anything in that form,
mm,
besides chewing on some curtains,
mhm.
which are probably delicious.
Probably if you're a moth. I mean, why
Yeah.
else would they eat them? They must be delicious. I'm curious now.
Yeah, honestly, like goth moths are pretty cool too. And if I could like have a pet goth moth, I totally would.
Yeah. I bet that would be like awesome. Would it be one of those like would it have like a skull face on its like wings on the back? So like it like
Definitely.
it's mostly black and then it looks kind of like a skull.
Yeah.
I love it. Chester would rock it. She'd be beautiful.
Hmm. And yeah, so she basically wastes all of her time not doing much of anything, and then polymorph wears off, and she falls and makes a little bit of a ruckus, and then Ford instantly swoops in to save Jester. She's still invisible, so they can't see her, but she made a lot of noise when she crashed down into some crates and stuff, and he just pretends to be like a drunk drow or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and seems to succeed in that. Um, Otherwise, they kind of go to sleep and take some watches. Is there anything that I missed that happens here?
No, that's I think you're pretty much right. I think that's it.
Cool. And then towards the end of their watch, I guess they see people arrive
Mm-hmm.
and come into the shop. There's a hobgoblin and drow, right? I don't remember the description of the drow very well, but apparently they are someone who is important. so I should know that. Um, but Jester and Knot decide to go back in and scout, see what's going on. Jester disguises herself as like a fancy drow, like kind of fancy drow, not super fancy,
Yeah.
but kind of fancy, and then not becoming invisible.
Yeah, I like that they had to kind of sway this, because for a moment they were talking about not changing how she looked, and then Jester polymorphing into a different animal. And I was surprised. Okay, you know what? Personally, I don't agree with this. Apparently, Rat was only intelligence of 2, and rats are intelligent creatures. You cannot convince me otherwise. They're very intelligent. If you had said a mouse was a 2, then I would maybe agree, but a rat would be at least like a 4. Don't give me that. Like, rats are so smart.
They're not that smart. They can't like do math.
They can learn tricks and solve problems, and like, rats are significantly smarter than a lot of other creatures because they are omnivorous and they have to consider and weigh their options when they eat things, because they can eat many things. They have to go, is this poisonous? Should I eat it? No. Whereas something like a koala, for example, that eats nothing but like eucalyptus leaves all day, has like the brain of like a moth. If you told me a koala
wouldn't you argue that that's wisdom, not intelligence, being able to know what you can eat and what you can't, and having awareness for your own survival?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's why all animals are relatively wise.
Damn it!
They do that, but...
I might have to agree with you. But I was offended for those rats. But anyways, they came up with the better plan of, like you said, not being invisible and Jester being a fancy lady. And that's when I was so happy when, like, we got Jester going back into the shop as a fancy lady. And it was basically, literally, it was Drowvex. It was Drowvexalia. Because she was using her beautiful, wonderful, amazing Vex voice. And it was just like the angels and the chiming and the bell ringing of like Laura Bailey, just like Laura Bailey doing what Laura Bailey does, and
sounding like Vex and giving some sass.
Exactly. It was so good, and she did so good as her, like, talking to Maru and just get it, like oh my god, they keep saying that they don't like Matt Mercer doing that voice, but I flippin' loved it. That interaction between sassy Vex Jester and Maru. Basically like, oh yeah, that girl. Here, let me just get you back your money. Hold on 1 second. Like,
I love her. Like, I think she's an excellent shopkeep. Like, she's kind of obnoxious and kind of has like a crazy voice, but I don't know. I think she's like likable in a weird way, and she's up on there with my list of favorite shopkeeps. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's very awkward when Jester is in there. I was gonna say Vex, and then I just said Jess. Because the Hobgoblin's there on watch, and I guess the Drow isn't there, or did the Drow go upstairs? I think that was the situation.
Yes, the Drow went upstairs, and then the Hobgoblin blocked the door, and then we had the Dragonborn come in and also go upstairs. So,
well, that happened, yeah, a little bit after.
Yeah.
But so Not snuck in invisibly when Jester went in, and then Jester left with her gold and left Not in there alone, just invisible, just hanging out and scoping out the place. And it's pretty much just quiet. It seems like they're waiting on something, and Not trying to cause some chaos, like knocks over like a book or something on a shelf just to see how they react. Probably a huge mistake. Just definitely gave herself away as like there's something weird in here. I don't think any normal person would assume that like that is normal and is the thing that just happens, and then just kind of like be like, oh, okay, and move on. This is not like guards from like Metal Gear Solid where like they're on high alert for like 5 minutes and then they go away and they're just like, it's whatever.
I don't know. I feel like it's not like Morrow even said that, you know, she's like, I don't know, it's an old shop and sometimes things fall down and it's kind of rickety, and like And to be fair, actually come to think of it, Maro could have been trying to cover for her invisible person, because she might have thought that her invisible person knocked something over, and therefore been covering for it. So,
That's possible. It seems like their invisible person doesn't move and would probably still be in the same spot, but I think it definitely is some caution because she's aware that they have invisible people in here at sometimes.
mhm.
Um, it was very, very poor explanation, but she was definitely just trying to cover for that because it also seemed like she was very tense with the situation that was going
Mhm.
on. Clearly, we know we find out that she like rents out her room for like meeting places and stuff, which I'm assuming probably aren't always the most savory of people. But this one in particular seemed a little bit awkward. So it seemed like she was just trying to save whatever she could from the situation and make sure that
They were okay. And it was like, yeah,
yeah,
like,
I
it's
mean, it's
fine,
the
it's
reason
fine,
she's
yeah.
got an invisible bugbear bodyguard in there
Yeah.
because you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that ridiculous. I feel like you said, whether doing that did a mix of things. It let not get people to move around. It maybe she was hoping to get the invisible person to like move or something like that. She wasn't sure if maybe they were blocking the steps. She got to get those people away from the steps and then go up, run up the steps, only to get then blockaded into the steps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but it ended really poorly, right?
Yeah.
Like she got up to the stairs and then had to hold on to the ceiling, I guess, and like barely made it. Matt was super generous with that. Like, sure, she's a goblin and has claws, but being able to just hold on to the ceiling with your goblin claws is like not a thing that's really
But I
possible.
feel like as a rogue, it's something you've probably done at some. If she hadn't already had that on her rogue list of to-dos checked off, she needed to do it anyway. So now she's done it. She can check it off her rogue list.
Okay. Um, Somehow she got away unscathed there. And then after that, the female dragonborn rides in uh, and mentions the code word "waiting above," I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
and gives some money, and is led upstairs to meet with the drow up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so moving like to where we are now, is this what you expected of this? Did you expect to see like the person Jester scryed on here? Because I don't think I did.
I don't know. I expected even if the person that she scryed on did come, they wouldn't look like themselves. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I assume they would look like something else to come here.
Yeah, and that's a thing that players don't really think about doing that often is trying to see through illusions and trying to like investigate people. Because any of these people could have been wearing a disguise this entire time and without really like using your action to try to investigate them and kind of match their spell DC to figure out if they're using an illusion or not, you'll have no idea. And they all know that that's how that works because they freaking all can disguise themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little surprised that they aren't more conscious about, oh, other people could be using disguises too.
I think even if they are conscious of it, I feel like they might think that asking to investigate slash see through it would only involve in like either a failure or Matt being like, well, you need to like go up and touch them and see if they feel the same as they look. Like, you know what I mean? Like there has to be some element to it, I feel like, to sort of connect that. And you would still only get tips and hints and clues. You would still have to like do a few things to try and, unless you have like amazing spectre specs that, you know, let you see through things. um X-ray specs, come on, make them a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting to see. I feel like it must have been nerve-wracking for everyone outside of the establishment, just like being like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We have someone in there, and like not even was like, I can't send a message because it will cause me to be uninvisible. Like immediately she will lose her invisibility, so you can't even be like, hey guys, I'm fine, but here's what's happening right now. Like, you can't do anything. She just had to wait it out, and they just had to wait it out, and like, that's real rough.
Yeah. What other options could they have had for like communication?
Well, they said it afterwards, right? They were like, "Dang, remember when we had those sick ass earrings?"
Yeah, well, I mean, like now, not previous campaign, but like they end up using Frumpkin for communication a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Frumpkin probably could have gone in with Not. Like Caleb could have also made Frumpkin invisible too, and like Not could have like held Frumpkin or something, or just like I don't know. That would have made things worse, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Caleb didn't like try to get Frumpkin in there because that's what he does always. He's like, I'm gonna send Frumpkin in and like, see through him and be sneaky,
Mm-hmm.
which he should do more often by making Frumpkin invisible, and then he's just like, free invisible cat
Free
that no one.
invisible cat. Come on, come
Yeah.
all to the free invisible cat. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to know going into a situation what the best calls are. I feel like they tried a few things. This is what they got stuck doing. I feel like they made the best of it they could, which unfortunately wasn't the best ever, but I mean I feel like it was the best with what they had.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so the conversation happens. The Dragonborn and the Drow talk to each other. Not tries to listen in, but doesn't really get a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information. I don't remember exactly what was given, but I don't know
It,
how much of it would have
it
been super important.
didn't seem like a lot, because Not
Yeah.
tried to get into the room and failed.
Yeah, and I'm gonna touch back on that after we get done here, but it seems like they just didn't get a lot of anything.
Yeah. And the
Um,
other problem with that is if she had gotten into the room, she would have known truly whether or not this was the situation they wanted to deal with. And because she didn't get into the room, she didn't know.
yeah.
And then it's that thing where you assume, like, oh fuck, if I, like, let this go, it's gonna have been the thing. Like, what if I, like, if I don't assume that this is exactly what I needed to, and then, like, I let it go, and then it turns out, like, hey shit, that was the thing, and you just didn't jump on it because it wasn't, like, blaringly obvious enough to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, you know? It's a thing.
Dungeons and Dragons is hard.
Dungeons and Dragons is hard, you guys. There's no, like, easy win button. Like, there's no... I don't know.
Yeah. But that's really kind of what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
She hears a little bit of the conversation. Dragonborn leaves, and she's like, "Oh shit!" and breaks her invisibility to cast a message to tell the rest of the party to stop the Dragonborn.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. Fight ensues.
And
I wouldn't say like a big fight.
they
'cause
murder
it's
a
nothing
horse.
crazy, but yeah, they murder a horse first, so the Dragonborn can't ride away quickly. Then they murder a Dragonborn, and then they murder a Hobgoblin.
They're a
Um,
bunch of murderers. I'm
yep,
very disappointed in this situation.
yep. Not gets charmed by
Yeah.
the Drow, so it's very clear that they're a magical type person.
It's no one's fault. It just happened. But yeah, the charming is interesting. It's fun how often they all get charmed into messing with each other. That this has just become a thing now. And like Yasha being the big, awesome, beefy lady that she is, just kind of like put up with getting shot multiple times to kind of
Hmm.
like try and shake her friend out of this.
Yeah,
Like, stop.
it's
Bad. Bad not.
bad.
No.
Not.
No
She
shooting.
pulls a bolt out of her like abdomen. Um, So the other thing is, the Drow tried to teleport out with the Hobgoblin. I don't know if it was Dimension Door or whatever. But forward cast Counterspell,
Mm.
which is a thing we didn't know that he had before, I guess.
How long
Which is
has Travis been excitedly waiting to get to be the one to use Counterspell? You know what I mean?
like forever in Critical Role, not like just within this campaign, like since he took it, or do you just mean like forever?
Forever. I feel like forever. I feel like from the first campaign, seeing how often it came in clutch. Just like
Mhm.
waiting for your turn to be the one with that moment.
It's good. It's interesting though because we know that Caleb has it, so it was weird to me that Ford's like, well, I also need that too, because as a warlock, his very limited spell slots, like using one of them as counterspell means that he's like kind of spent on spells really quickly, like in a single turn potentially, which is kind of crazy. But he does have it, and he did that. I don't know when he took it, but it came in clutch here. The other thing that is important to notice is, like Sunday says, it's always at his warlock spell level, which right now is 5. So it'll auto counter anything a level 5 or lower.
It's pretty great.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that's one of the good things.
Yeah.
And he still has magic, even though his patron is mad at him, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, what if and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, where his patron was mad at him, and he's like, go do the things for me, and Ford's like, maybe. And then a week goes by and Ford doesn't do anything, and the patron's still just you still have your powers. So that was a kind of a weird way in the timeline.
Yeah.
But it'd be real funny if he tried to counterspell and then Matt's just oh, your powers aren't working.
Yeah, I just feel it's a bit of a gamble. It's a bit of it's a game of chicken. It's seriously you're haha, you're not gonna stop giving me powers because I'm all that you have. And well, haha, you're not gonna. If I take away your powers, you are screwed. It's all you have. You can't just immediately become a whatever level fucking paladin.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just instantly whumps
Caleb can try to teach him magic.
I would argue.
Very smart though.
I would argue that because of his Eldritch Blade pact, that you could take I'd give you a level or 2 free of fighter, maybe. That's it. That's, you know what I mean? Okay, you're good with a sword. Here's something.
Yeah.
You can swing a sword a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, Ford's a weird situation. It's hard to think about what's going to happen with him because like we said, sometimes the timeline seems real rushed and sometimes it seems really lax, kind of depending on the situation and what else is going on in the world. So otherwise, there's not a ton more that happens in the fighting, I guess. I don't need to talk about combat, but the two things that are important, I think, is that we find out that they know Yasha, and we don't really know how or why.
Yes, they just repeatedly are oh, Orphan Maker, cool. They just met some kind of dirty underground wrestler that they're a fan of. I don't know. It's weird. It's Yasha has fans. That's weird. What is known about her? Where did they learn this from? Is she known outside of her tribe very, very well? Or is this someone that knew her tribe? That's a big question here. This is wait, what? Which way does this skew?
Yeah, I don't know. That's way too much to think about, I think. There could be so many reasons that they know who she is and why, but she doesn't know who they are. So definitely her reputation is spread in some manner. They could just potentially be from a similar area, and then word like that will spread.
Yeah, because to be fair, a title such as Orphan Maker doesn't come from doing, as I think Sunday in chat said it, it's a moniker you gain from not nice things. It's not a moniker you gain from nice things. So, maybe because it's so unpleasant, it did spread a bit,
Well, also, she was, kind of on the run, right? She was probably, she was wanted because she was supposed to be executed and, ran away. So it's very possible that it just, word got out, hey, if you ever see this person, there's a reward for finding her or something. Or, she's dangerous, stay away.
Yeah, now that they have that map, because they did get that map of the area, and Matt was like, hey, Yasha, you're from this area, and singled out a section of the map. If they head in that direction, are there going to start being, wanted posters of, Yasha with Yasha's face on it? The Orphan Maker! Reward!
It'd be great.
Lots of gold.
Yeah. The other thing was, this is all happening in the middle of the morning, in the middle of the street. and the guard is called, and like people are starting to watch and stuff. And Ford is able to deceptively convince them that they're on a mission for the Bright Queen, which is not entirely inaccurate, but it's not entirely accurate either. But he's able to kind of deflect the situation and let them be on their way with their killing and stuff.
Ford had a lot of really good moments. Like, Mercer pointed it out. He was like, "Man, that's why you have like a face." Because he had the good moment where he saved Jester when she was in trouble. He had this moment where he talked off the guards. Like he definitely had a few moments where his charisma really helped them out. And I thought this was a really good one. He did a good job with what he said and how he said it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like that's basically it. The drow gets away, I guess. Um, Otherwise, that's basically combat. And they end up like convening inside the Overcrow and talk with Marrow and the invisible bugbear. And we learn that, yeah, like they don't have anything to do with what just happened here. I guess the bugbear is kind of like protection. And they rent out the room upstairs for whoever needs secret room space for whatever sort of secret meeting they have.
Yeah. So like literally, the dealings going on there could be any sort of dirty dealing.
Yeah, so that was the thing that I don't think they asked them that they should have, which was, hey, are there any other scheduled meetings for today? Was that the only one? Do you know anything about what their names are, or when this was set up, or by who, or anything like that? They didn't really like press that information. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to get some info, and like the obvious answer was that Maru and her person were like, I don't know, people don't usually give it, like, they don't give a. When someone's doing a dirty dealing, they don't give you a lot of info.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it was like, I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're trading. They give me lots of money. I give them the secret room. That's it. Like, that's all. So, like, there might not be a schedule. It might be, like, first come, first dirty dealing, like, serve.
Maybe. We don't know what technically happened when they first got there in the morning before Jester and Not got in. So there could have been a brief conversation of like, hey, we need your upstairs room, here's some money, and then just like ran upstairs.
Yeah.
Could not have been a like
Yeah.
premeditated thing with them.
We're expecting a person that'll say this or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it. Done. That's all.
Well, so that's one of the questions that we have in our forum tonight as we kind of get close to the end of what happened in the episode is just that, do we think that that was the right meeting? Because there could have been others. That's an interesting question. I don't think that Matt would put in another fake meeting, just mechanics wise. Like, I don't think that he would have made that happen on the same day. But it's a really legitimate concern that they could have just interrupted some other meeting that had to do with like drugs or something else, and then the meeting for what they are actually concerned with happens later in the day.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It because didn't, like, Jester ended up sending a message later, or it's like, and she ended up scrying, and the person was still, the person that they wanted to get more from was still in their room, just chilling, totally not anywhere nearby. So it's not clear. I don't know. Like, was it a setup? Was it like they just jumped on a morning meeting and this was a late night meeting? Like, you know what I mean? They because when you don't know, like we said, you weren't expecting these people to show up and be themselves. They could have looked like anything. So I don't know. Like,
yeah. So really the other last thing that happens is Jester sends a message the drow, and tries to pretend to be someone in connection. I guess that what do they start calling him, Greg, or somebody else who is related to this. But they obviously see through the attempt at deception, and they say that if they're intent in following, that they can go north.
yeah.
And they also say bring her, which I'm assuming is referring to Yasha. Did I misinterpret that?
I don't know. It was very weird and very clear. Sorry, it was very weird. But yeah, no, you're right. It seemed like it could have only been Yasha because that was the only person who seemed of interest to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Why do they want Yasha? Are we fine? Like,
I don't know. The only other person I could think was like, if they're trying to be like real legit assholes, is like the Bright Queen or something. But that's
oh
not going to
no,
happen.
yeah, no, I definitely feel like that was. If it was someone they were asking for, it was Yasha, just because she was the one that had just been there, and a subject of attention. So
Yeah, and they don't know. I mean, the person says that they know Jester,
mm-hmm.
so they might have an idea of who they are and what they're doing there, which makes you think that maybe they are, you know, they have ties to the Empire who might know who the Mighty Nine are. And that's how they might know who Jester is and the rest of the Mighty Nine. But at the same time, if they don't really know who they are, then they don't know that they are, in cahoots with the Bright Queen, and what kind of information they know and what they're doing there and why they stopped this to begin with. Could be any number of reasons that they could have come in there and ransacked this secret hiding place where like drug deals and stuff happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. I think like they might not be as bad of people as we think.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they do follow them and talk to them in the future, we're gonna find out that like they have their own side to the story, and they're like probably not that bad people, and they probably have some sort of connection to the Empire or the Mighty Nine in some way, aside from knowing who Yasha is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another interesting question we had was Essex vouched for them and his tutelage. Do you think he's keeping a careful eye on them and witnessed this misstep, or did he just trust them enough to kind of be doing this on their own? I don't know. I don't think he was like there. You can't be everywhere at every time of the day. Like, once again, if we're discussing this, like, this was like first thing in the morning. They had to basically not sleep, like organize a system to watch this go down. I don't see.
Yeah, like he's pretty cool, but he's not some like omniscient being. He's like not always watching them.
Yeah.
And when you're specifically keeping watch, that's what you're doing. You're looking for people who are suspicious or people who are watching you or anything like that. I feel like they would have seen Essek at some point if he was trying to keep an eye on them like that. I don't think he's keeping that close. I do think he trusts them, maybe not necessarily as much as they would hope, but it seems like so far they've never really done anything to prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Speaking of Essek, the other thing we get two of in this episode are Dunamancy spells, which I don't have noted exactly what they're named or anything. I don't know if they were ever posted their exact information.
I think Liam posted a photo of like the slip of paper he had been given.
Did he? Okay.
But I mean, we saw he basically said the one he cast that basically allowed them basically their own personal mode of possibility, right?
And the other one gave like +6 to initiative or something like that.
Yeah, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it seems like the spells that Caleb got were very supporty. You know what I mean? Like they're very.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Again, I didn't see the thing, so I don't know. I'm assuming they're probably like first level spells or second level spells, nothing too crazy. But they are, like time bendy, which is kind of what they're leaning to with that school of magic. Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
It's very cool. I'm interested to see more of that because it's exactly kind of what Caleb wants. It's literally from the moment we've gotten any Caleb real personal Caleb backstory, it's been that he wants to change his past, and he's getting a little bit closer to it with this sort of like time bindy magic, like wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. So oh, someone just shared it. I'm gonna go look at it. Fortune's favor and gift of alacrity. Those were the two spells, and they were a level 1 Dunamancy spell and a level 2 Dunamancy spell. And one lasted 1 hour and one lasted 8 hours. So they're pretty cool. It's like, you touch a willing creature, instilling it with a heightened reaction time for the duration. The target adds 1d8 to their initiative roll. So basically, that was the moat of possibility.
The other one is the moat. The Fortune's Favor is the moat. The Gift of Alacrity is just the initiative.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Fortune's Favor is the moat. Gift of Alacrity. You're right.
Yeah. Cool stuff. So like that's basically where the episode ends for the most part. Like I alluded to earlier, it seems like they didn't really accomplish much of anything. Right? Like they interrupted this meeting. They don't really know who any of those people are. I don't know if they even have names or identities for any of them. They don't know what they were talking about. They don't know what was exchanged besides money. They don't know where the person is going besides north. And that's pretty much it. And in the meantime, they killed 3 creatures, one being a horse.
Oh, poor horse.
And
that horse didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
The people were up to no good, but the horse was innocent.
Sometimes innocent people just are in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like horses.
Yeah. So as was mentioned in that question, I think a misstep is a light way of putting this. I think they like fucked up kind of real hard. Both like their reaction to what happened, but also
the reaction to the reaction?
Yeah, like Knott's reaction of let me blow this up and go stop that person and surprise, I'm here spying on you. And then their reaction of kill everything like they do. I
could see it as a misstep, but I don't think it's... I feel like it didn't go... Here's the thing. I think it didn't go well. I think we can agree on that. It did not go well, but I don't see how with what they had available to them, they could have done much better unless they did the option of just, like, letting them go and, like, taking the chance that it wasn't... Like, they didn't know for sure any which way. And Not didn't say, like, hey, kill that person and their horse. Not said, like, just find that, like, keep up with that person. I cannot categorically prove that they are not who we're looking for. Like, Not didn't have enough evidence to write anyone off yet. So
right, that's why I was saying like the reaction to the reaction was also really bad.
Yeah,
because killing them was probably a poor decision.
It went poorly.
They could have done
because they tried a few things. They did try.
Yeah,
they did try. Yeah, it's true. They could have scryed afterwards and seen how it went. But they did try and do some like charm people, freeze people type. Like don't immediately kill people. But it just didn't go that way. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes not doing a murder is significantly harder than just doing a murder.
Yeah. So, in the sense of not doing what she did, do you think that was a huge mistake?
I can't say. I don't think it was... I think it sucked, but I think it was hard. I think you don't know, and you don't want, like... to go back to your group and be like, so they got away, but I didn't know. And you know what I mean? The fear...
If you're invisible, you could just follow them.
I guess so. That's true. But I mean,
there's no way getting away when they don't even know you're there.
Yeah. I think Not was like, I neither want to leave the people in here alone, nor the people out there. Like I said, she could not scratch anyone off the list 100%. Like, she could not... disprove that any of these people weren't exactly who they were looking for, and so...
Sure, but do you think that them getting away was really all that terrible? Like, honestly, I think they got incredibly lucky. I was, like, when we went to break after not doing that, I 100% thought Not was dead. 100%, like, these people are just going to kill her because she's in there alone, and they're probably super powerful, and they were just being spied on in a super secret area, like just instant murder. And I'm incredibly surprised that they got out of there alive. Not the whole Mighty Nine, but Not specifically. I think that was kind of crazy, which also kind of makes me think like, he charmed her first rather than just trying to kill her,
Yeah.
which makes you think that this person might know who they are and might think favorably of the Mighty Nine based on what they've done in the Empire or who they know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was a real tough. I think it was a really tough situation. So I.
What if it's just Dyron? What if this whole
Oh
time
my
it's just
god!
Dyron?
That would be the worst. That would be the freaking worst.
Yeah.
That would be so. I hadn't thought of that, and that would be terrible.
It would be pretty bad.
Oh well. Well.
Because they talked about trying to talk to her too, and they just never did.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so
and that's basically how Dyron would have reacted. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna try to do my stuff, but I'm just gonna try not to hurt you.
Yeah.
If you kill these other people who are kind of bad, like the Dragonborn or the Hobgoblin or whatever, they're probably just hired people to do a thing.
Yeah. Then you lose your lead to the actual problem. Like if you're an undercover person, you don't want to catch the bare minimum low person. You're undercover doing this stuff to get the high up important people. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. If that person was someone who was like paranoid and like super powerful and didn't know or care about who Not was, I think there would have been a very bloody fight. And if that person was someone like Dyron, if not her specifically, I think it ended up exactly like it would have. Whereas they're just trying to save people's lives and get out of there, which is what that person was trying to do with the Hobgoblin, but was not allowed to.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I don't know.
Otherwise, we're kind of getting close to time, but we do have a couple other questions to bring up. One is, no one asked or mentioned the vast quantities of soot and residuum in the back. Is that relevant or just another side business?
Side business. I feel like at the point where you run a shop where you allow people to come in and do their dirty dealings in private, you're already on the line of, you're already riding the line of illegal, and you might as well also sell drugs. What do you think?
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with the story in any way. It's just painting the picture of what's going on in this place.
Yeah.
And then in relation to that, if you were a shady shopkeep, like our friend Marrow, what side ventures would you be running?
I think that's a difficult question because we don't know what's illegal here. You know what I mean? Like, it would obviously... This is a place where you get away with doing something, like, kind of illegal.
What about here? What if you were a shopkeep here? You just owned your own store. What kind of shady stuff would you have going on if you could do it?
I'm trying not to say things. A little of everything, and have like
secret murder parties.
Yeah, totally. Secret murder parties, and murder mysteries where people actually get murdered. Like where you bring people in, like, I don't know, some probably some sexy hidden under the floorboards thing. Like there's a secret bookcase that takes you down some steps, and then it's like, like an awesome what's not bootlegging? What's the term I'm looking for here? Like an illegal underground bar with awesome shows.
A speakeasy.
Yeah, a speakeasy with freaking awesome burlesque shows and just super cool place.
And then sometimes a murder mystery.
And sometimes a murder mystery.
You gotta pay a lot of money to get in, and it's all really fancy people, and no one knows who's gonna die, but someone's gonna die. It's like Russian roulette for rich people who have nothing else to do and are bored with their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that'd be freaking
and
awesome.
Then everybody eats the person.
Oh no! Oh, well, I guess it
tastes really good.
It always turns into cannibalism. Well, what you gonna do?
Yeah, and if you're gonna kill someone, at least do something.
I mean, there's that saying,
resourceful.
Eat the rich, and it's because they're probably so delicious.
Probably.
I mean, they're rich and they've been eating tasty things, and they're probably the tastiest of all people. You might as well eat them.
It's true.
That's the only reason. So eat the rich, guys. That's the message. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, is own a shop, have a secret underground bar, burlesque murder mystery place, and then kill the rich people there and eat them.
Yep, done. We did it. This is the perfect
Uh-huh. So that covers our questions. I think if you guys were not aware, we do have a form that you can fill out if you would like us to talk about anything specific on here. We try to get to the ones we can each week, and we appreciate it. It makes us be better at this, and we still fail miserably, and I'm so sorry, but you can blame me, Matt, for that.
And you can't blame me, Dustin, because I was busy over at D&D Live and totally not here recording this podcast. But actually, I'm Jess, Echo_Shade-Chi. Surprise! It was me all along! I bet you couldn't tell. I was busy.
What?
I was busy running my secret speakeasy.
Wow. I had no idea. I thought you were busy doing all kinds of other streaming things this weekend.
I don't know how I made time for this, because I'm doing like 100 other things.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. There were only 2 of us here tonight because a third of us were out at D&D Live, The Descent, and I hope they had fun, and hopefully we can hear some talks about that. Maybe next week or whenever when they're on the podcast, they can share their experiences. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, let's hope that they
We'll
have
yell at
some
them
awesome
about that.
stories.
You should let us know if you're interested in that.
Yep.
Otherwise, other people were traveling, so sometimes we're gonna have 2 people in here, and you guys are gonna have to deal.
That's okay. If you came to the actual Twitch recording video podcast, you saw that we had the entire cast.
Yep.
Here with us.
They've been smiling for an hour.
I don't know how they keep that up. It's clearly that they are professionals to be able to maintain those wonderful, beautiful, happy faces. So, thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, Laura Bailey. We did it.
So yeah, I think that about wraps this up, right?
Yeah, I think we did it.
Did we miss anything?
No, I feel like we did a whole episode, and 2 of us, and we should pat ourselves on the back, and good job us. And thanks everyone who came out and hung out in chat. Thanks everyone who listened via the recording. Thanks everyone who sent in questions. Feel free to do any and all of those things all the time. Listen to the podcast, follow, like it, subscribe to it, and then come to the live recording.
Smash all of those buttons.
Smash, if there's a button, you best be smashing it.
Yeah, unless it says unfollow, then you should only do that if it's my button.
But y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us for this episode. It has been awesome. Was Dustin and or Jess? I accidentally started the music too early. I played myself out. We're done.
We're professionals. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks for being here. You're awesome. Bye.